want you to think about your neighborhood for a minute. What does it look like? How many neighbors do you know? Do you play with any of the other kids in your neighborhood? Does your neighborhood have like a community playground or a pool that all the kids can meet up and gather together and play? Let me tell you about my neighborhood. Right now I have two neighborhoods. So my first neighborhood is where my house is at, and it's surrounded by lots of land. So my neighbors are much further apart, and there's days that I don't even see any of my neighbors. But that house was broken during the tornado a few months ago. So I'm living in an apartment right now while that house is getting fixed. So I have a really different looking neighborhood now. There are 223 apartments in my neighborhood. So that means I have a lot of neighbors and a lot of new neighbors. So I always see someone every day when I go to my car or my mailbox or walk my dog. I meet someone new every day, and I can learn their name and what building they live in. And a lot of those neighbors have dogs. So that gives us something to talk about all the time. So, but what if I never spoke to any of those neighbors? What if I never tried to learn their name or where they're from or what building they live in? Or what if I was really picky and only talked to certain neighbors? What would that look like? Well, today's story is about some people who are being very picky about being a neighbor to those around them. So let's read our story and you'll see what I mean. It is out of our Jesus Calling Bible storybook, and it is called The Good Samaritan, and it's found in Luke chapter 10. It says some people didn't like Jesus, so they tried to trick him with questions. God's law says love your neighbors as much as you love yourself. So who is my neighbor, they asked. And Jesus answered them with a story. He says, a man walked alone on a country road. Robbers attacked him. They beat him and stole everything he had. A teacher of God's law saw the man lying in the road, but he passed by without helping. Another religious man came along, but he looked the other way too. Finally, a man from Samaria came along. He saw the injured man lying there, and he hurried to help. He bandaged his wounds, and he took him to the nearest inn and cared for him. With his own money, he provided for the man until he was all well. Which of these three people was the best neighbor? Jesus knew that the wise teachers didn't like people from Samaria, but now they had to admit that the Samaritan had done what was right. The one who helped, they answered. That's right, Jesus said, and that's what you should do. Anyone and everyone is our neighbor. The Samaritan man in today's story took a great risk by helping someone that was not someone he would typically talk to. And so, but that's what God wants us to do too. He wants us to show other people his love, and the way we can do that is by caring for them. And then that says so much more than we can do with words. It's our actions that actually speak to them. So today's memory verse, we're going to learn a new memory verse. And if we learn this memory verse, it helps us learn how to be a good neighbor so that it's a habit and we don't even have to think about it. It'll just come natural to us. So let's do this memory verse, and it's all about serving others. And it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And that's found in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 and 39. So the coloring page that we're going to send you today shows the man who was beaten and robbed on the side of the road, and you can tell he looks really injured, and the Samaritan man that stopped to help him, and he's reaching out to him and making sure he's okay and seeing what he can do to help. And once again, your story is going to be on the back. And the craft we have for today you're going to be able to make your own little first aid kit. And I'm going to send it to you, and it's going to look like this so that you'll be able to print it, cut it out, fold it, and you can color it, decorate it how you would like, and then you can actually stick little Band-Aids down in here, or maybe some cotton balls or some alcohol pads. But I'm also going to send you this that you can color and cut out, and you can put these first aid supplies down in your Samaritan first aid kit. One of the other books that I want to talk to your mom and dad about, because this is one that they would have to read to you, and I know I've talked about Sally Lloyd Jones before, because she is one of my absolute favorite authors, but this is a different type of devotional than you ever probably read before with your kids, because it's not your typical Bible story that she's just retelling. She sets these in topic form, and they're, once again, she's done them in a conversational tone, so you're able to have really good open discussions with your kids. But it's really some great thought provoking ones, and I just love the way she does it. So it's a really, really good one, and it's called Thoughts to Make Your Heart Sing by Sally Lloyd Jones. And I'm also including today some worship songs that go great with our lesson. The first two are going to be Love Your Neighbor by VeggieTales. And then the next one is by Mr. Music, who does our worship on Wednesday nights. And it's I Can Be a Friend. And then followed up by Yancey, and she does one about serving others. So those are some really good worship songs that go with today's lesson. So I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and I want you to go out and practice this week being a neighbor. Find someone you don't know and speak to them, be friendly to them. And if you see someone along your way, even in your own family, just find a way to serve somebody this week. Help your mom with something. You can walk the dog. You can help with the dishes. Do something that's serving someone so that you can practice our memory verse. And then join us back here next week, and we're going to have another lesson about serving others. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.